Hi everyone, Nicholas Buffett is here from sunny Cyprus, and today's video tutorial is all about PowerPoint, one of the most widely used applications in education ever since technology has been introduced in the classroom. This video tutorial is primarily aimed for students taking the Cambridge IGCSE ICT examination, the 0417 examination, and PowerPoint is part of one of the practical papers, practical paper 2 usually. And this video tutorial is going to cover, or at least try to cover, all of the skill sets required to pass that practical component. Now, in the video tutorial, I'm going to be working from past papers, a couple of past papers, but I'm not going to be following a complete paper as such, because I'm going to be elaborating on each question so that we can see different things that you may be asked to complete or tasks that you're going to be asked to do during an examination. So this hopefully is going to be a complete tutorial for this component. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing is, as soon as you get your question paper or you're going to start a new section, you need to read all the information on that section, including the little description at the top, because there's usually some interesting information or very useful information there which you're going to need later on. For example, here it says all slides must have a consistent layout and formatting unless otherwise instructed. Slides must be formatted to display a title and bulleted list. So if you've done something and it doesn't look like that, then just refer to that line and make sure that your slides look exactly as it's requested for them to look like. So the next part is we're going to start the presentation, 8 slides using this file, this RTF file. Now again, I'm going to be working through this paper, but I'm going to be going off track to show you all the different other types of questions they may be asking or formats of questions they may be asking. So I'm going to go to my folder which has all my resources, and that's this folder here. I'm going to start a new PowerPoint presentation from here. Give it an appropriate name. I'm just going to call it MP, my initials, CY127, and that's my center number and the candidate number, for example. So unless instructed otherwise, give an appropriate name so you can find your files easily. Let's open PowerPoint. And the first step is, as it displays here, to go and import this file. So it should give us 8 slides. Okay. So I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go to not insert, from the home menu, the home ribbon here, new slide, and I'm going to use slides from outline. Now there's so many different ways to do the same operation in all of any kind of application or software. I'm going to demonstrate the ones that I use or found that's best used, which I use with my students. If you've got a different way and you prefer that method, absolutely use that method. There's no right or wrong way, providing you do what you're asked to do and you do it properly. So here is the file that I want to import. I'm going to double click on this, and I've got 8 slides imported. So if I check my question paper, it does actually say 8 slides to be imported. Sometimes when you actually import, it gives you a blank slide. It will tell you if there are any blank slides in your presentation software deleted. You can do that. If it doesn't say that and it says it should be 8 slides and you've got 9 slides and there's a blank slide, you can delete that blank slide. Okay, the next part of the question is to enter your name here just after this text. So I'm just going to do that very quickly. This is a very basic step. Okay. And my center number, it wants on slide, I'll enter your name after, so it's just my name. Okay, that's the easy part. So let's move on. So the next part, it wants me to open the slide master and add automatic slide numbers on the top right, your name, center number, and candidate number. It doesn't say where, so you can choose where you can add that. And then make sure that master slide items appear in the same position on every slide. There's no overlap on any slide. So this is one of the sections where I'm going to go a little bit off track. I'm going to talk a little bit about master slides, what their purpose are, and the different things that you may be asked about a master slide. So first off, what is a master slide? Essentially, when you apply a master slide, you are modifying the layouts that you find here. So in the layouts, you can choose a slide, for example, this slide here, and change that layout into a 2-content layout. That's absolutely fine if it asks you to do that. But you can actually modify these layouts so that they actually have different backgrounds, they have different components, maybe some things to be shown on everything that's selected with that type of layout, like your name, a company logo, or a name. And these are the things that we want to modify. So to go to the slide master slide, we're going to go to View, we're going to go to Slide Master, and here I can see all the different layouts. Now what's really important is, and if you notice, it's opened the slide master and it's got this last layout at the bottom selected, and by default students will then just start modifying this particular slide, and that's wrong. This slide will only modify the text, the title and text layout. That's not what we want. We want to be able to modify this one. Okay, now if you do modify this one and that works as well, that's fine. For example, these days they're actually using formatted RTF files, so a lot of the things that you do, you can format from there. But I'm just going to use this one here because this is the parent. And what do I mean by this? If I insert a shape, just a blue oval here very quickly, you can see this blue oval is attached to all of these slides, all of these slide layouts. So all my layout slides are going to look exactly the same. And if I go back to View Normal, I can see all of my slides have got that blue oval, and at the same time all of the different layouts have got that blue oval. So if I was to choose again the to content one, it is still there. And the important thing about master slides is that the user who's actually viewing this presentation, or the person who's using it, they can't modify that blue oval, they can't delete it, they can't move it, because it's not a component on the slide, it's a component on the slide master. So you have to specifically go to the slide master. All right, so what are the other ones? If I go to View and Slide Master again, if I choose this one here now, let's say this one, the to content layout. So if I select this one and add from here, insert a shape, and I add an orange square, I'm going to add that there, just change that to orange. Now you can see that orange square has only been added on this layout, none of the other ones, because all of these layouts are part of this parent layout at the top, but then each other layout can have its own individual properties. So if I go back to View Normal, I can see that this slide here, number 3, which has got that kind of layout, has got that orange square because it's a 2-slide layout. And if we look at the layouts here, we can see this one has got that orange square, but none of the other ones. So I'm going to undo all of that. So let's go back to the slide master and see exactly what it is it has asked us to do. So from our home section, we're going to go to slide master, View, slide master, and I'm going to scroll up so I modify this one here, because irrespective of what slide layout is used, it should have that page number at the top right corner up here. Now here is where I'm a little bit different. Some people use these objects at the bottom. I don't personally. I just get my students to delete all of these. You don't need these, and the reason is because I like them to add their own text boxes and add their own components so they know how to manage them and make sure that they work. And then we're going to go to Insert, we're going to go to Text Box, and then in this text box I'm just going to draw my text box here, and from here I can simply add my, if I go to Insert, I can add my page number, or slide number. There it is there. And that's essentially it. And because it's using this template, the first one, the first layout, it's going to be added to all my slides. So if I go to View Normal, there you go, all my slides have got that number. Okay, so before I move on, the one thing I didn't talk about is, well, let's say they want different slides to have different layout themes. So we can do that as well simply by doing this. View, Slide Master. And instead of modifying these ones here, I may want another set with another master one, which has got a different background. So I can choose here, New Insert Slide Master, and that's going to be a new set, 2 sets. So if I make this one here, and I just put Insert Shape, I'm just going to put a shape here around this whole thing, make it a light blue color, let's say. Let's just do that, light blue color, and send that to back. Now when I go to View Normal, and I go to my layout, I've got two sets of things that I can choose. So I can have a different first page, I can have the same layout style but different background. One will have, for example, if I change this one here, number 5, and I say it's going to be title and content, you can see this one is different to this one. This has got the page number at the top. This one is blue and doesn't have a page number at the top. Whereas this one is number 6 because it is slide number 6. So you can have different slides using different slide layouts. Okay, so I'll just undo that. There we go, and go back and see what the next part of the question is. So the next part is add your name, center number, and candidate number. Okay, so I'm going to go back to slide layout, view, slide master. Go to this very first one here. Again, I'm going to insert a text box. I'm just going to draw, I'm going to put this at the bottom, and I'm just going to type my name in. CY127 and 12345. So you want center number and candidate number. So if it asks for your name, center number, and candidate number, make sure to put them in the order they ask for them. So name, center number, then candidate number. And I'm just going to format this to the right so it looks nice and neat. It's aligned with my number there, and that should now appear on all my slides. I go to view, normal, and there you go. All my slides have now got the page number and my details at the bottom. Now, this particular paper doesn't ask for anything else, but I'm going to expand on this. I'm going to show you some other things that may be asked. It may ask you to put a shape. It may ask you to put some lines. It may ask you to format, and here's a little trick here because some of these formats don't work. So I'm going to go over these other objects as well, and then we'll come back to the paper. So let's go back to here and go back to our slide master. View, slide master. Now we're going to be using this slide layout here, the first one. Now if they want you to add, let's say, a company name at the top, and then put a thick line underneath, say 4 points thick, a classic mistake is this. So if they want the company name, let's say we're just going to call it I don't know, say Mr. P tutorial. Okay, that's the title of the company or whatever. Students tend to do this. They select the title here, and this is wrong. You cannot modify the text here. Even if you do and you change that to Mr. P tutorials, and you want this to appear on every page, that's not going to happen. If I select that, and I'm going to make that, let's say, home and red, and that's what I want appearing on every page. When I go to view normal, can you see that all of my slide layouts now have got all the titles in red? So when I go to view normal, you're going to see none of these titles have been changed. At the same time, none of these titles are red as well. And I'm going to come back to that because there's a little trick here in case the colors aren't showing. Because the RTF files are actually formatted, the only way you can get everything to work properly is if they ask you to apply a style with color and the colors are not showing, then you basically need to remove the formatting. So if I select this slide here, go to home, let's say I select this object, from home I say remove formatting, you can see now it's applying the formatting I want. It's not changing the text though. So we'll just undo that because we're going to come back to that again later. So view, slide master. So here you're not actually going to change this one here. You're not actually going to change the text. If you want this to appear at the top, then that's fine. You can do that. I'm going to leave that there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to squish this down a bit, bring the formatting of my title down. I'm going to add a new text box. I'm going to call that Mr. P tutorials. I'm going to format the text in any size it tells me. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger, not too big. I'm going to make that red. And let's say I want a thick line underneath, at least 4 points thick. I'm going to go to insert. I can go to shape, take a line, draw this. Here's a little trick. If you hold the shift button down, it will make sure that your line clicks into place. Can you see that? It's not moving. So make sure it's perfectly horizontal. I like going over the edges of the slide, so I can make sure I cover all of that. And then if I double click on the slide, if I'm not in this area, let's say I'm here in draw, I double click on my line, it will open the shape format and I can change my shape outline. Here's the weight, at least 4 points. I'm going to make it 6 and blue, for example. If you want a different color, then you can choose a different color, whatever it says. Now this will appear on every slide. Here we go, view, normal. Okay, perfect. Now, doesn't matter what slide I'm on, and that's not my title. This is just the title that's appearing on every slide, so it's basically like a company logo. Okay, the next thing I want to do is to modify the bullet lists. In other words, modify the first and second or third level of a bulleted list. So let's do that. View, slide master. Now, I'm going to go to this very first one here, and I'm going to modify the first level here, and I'm going to say that's going to be, oh, let's play with the colors here. We're going to make this a blue color, and we're going to change the bullet style by using the bullet style here, make that an arrow, and we're going to say that the second level bullets are going to be, let's say text. Let's make something stand out a bit more. Let's make that a bright green, and the bullet style is going to be this like distinctive flowery shape, or the rhombus shape here. And you can do that with third level and fourth level. So what does this mean? If I now go back, view normal, all of my bullets have got this arrow. Now notice again, the colors are not showing. Now they haven't asked for me to change the colors, which is why they're not showing. But the reason they're not showing is because the RTF file, when I imported it, was already pre-formatted, and it's got its own layout style. That layout style again is this one here. So from view, slide master, it's this one that it selects down here. Okay, and you can see, although it says it should be blue and green, it's not. So how would we fix this if they do ask us to make sure it displays? Now, they probably won't in the exam because all printing is expected to be in black and white anyway. But anyway, let's see how we can fix that. So from view, normal. If I select on this slide here, let's take this slide here because it's got quite a few bullets. I'm going to select these three here and indent them so that they become second level bullets. You can see it gets the correct bullet shape, that little rhombus or the flowery shape, but the colors are wrong. So I'm going to select the object or click and select the text. It doesn't matter which. I like the object, it selects everything. Click on the Erase Format button in the home menu here, and now that the formatting is gone, you can see it's using the correct colors. Okay, so if you do get that issue, you don't know why it's not changing the colors, it's only changing the bullets, that's the reason why you need to erase the formatting. I'm just going to leave that there for argument's sake. Okay, other things that they may ask you to do in the slide master. I'm just trying to think. Dates, that you might be asked to add a date. So here we go again. View, normal, slide master. Go all the way to the top. Remember the master slide at the top. And I'm just going to insert another text box. I'm going to insert it where it wants the date. For example, bottom left. And then from here again, you can go to the insert button and you can add the date and time. Okay, and you can choose the date and time style it wants. So whether it's short date or long date, you choose the one you want. I'm just going to put that one there and click on OK. All right, I think everything else is pretty much normal. It makes sure nothing overlaps. So it may be that sometimes you'll have to move a few things. If you're going to add a logo, for example, make sure that logo is not touching the lines. Make sure it's clear and just insert that as a shape inside. So if I was to put, let's say, a star or just copy paste the picture, I'm just going to add this design here, and it says that I'm going to move that. It says make sure nothing overlaps, so this basically would be wrong. I wouldn't be happy with that because that arrow is just touching this blue line, so I would make it really clear that it's not touching that blue line, and that way you're going to be safe. Okay, so I'd leave that logo there as well. View normal. And of course, at the end of this, before I print anything off, I'm going to scroll and see all of these and make sure all of this looks good. Now, none of what I've done now is part of this particular paper, but I'm basically trying to cover all the bases here. It now tells you to delete the slides, history, triathlons, and super sprint. So let's go here. We're going to scroll down. Let's go see where history is. So there's the history one. So I'm going to, this one here, select it in the thumbnail section there. Let me just make that a bit bigger. There you go. I'm going to select that and just simply press delete on my keyboard or right click, and you can delete the slide. It's entirely up to you. And I'm going to delete this one as well. Good. Now, this is another common one. So there's two things that they will probably ask you to create and import into your PowerPoint presentation. One is going to be a chart, or it may be a table. So I'm going to cover both of these to make sure we've covered everything. So let's begin with the chart. Okay, so it says here, use the data in the file, this file here, it's a CSV file, to create a pie chart. So we're going to look at creating pie charts. We're going to look at creating bar charts as well, to compare participation by age group for triathlon only. And this is really important here. So this is basically telling you which part of the data it wants. So first step, let's open that file. So I'm going to go to my folder, and here is my folder, the file here. So I'm going to double click on this so I can have a look at this data first. Let's just show this again. And I'm going to select all of these, double click between the two columns so it actually expands everything so I can see everything clearly. Now, I want to give you a quick tutorial now, essentially on creating charts in Excel. It's very, very important that you know how to do this. The reason why is because if you don't, you're not going to be able to get all the marks for this question. Now, the first thing to notice is that we've got the title here. Here we've got the category labels. Here we've got what each item is for, and here are your numbers. Now, this cell here is the most important one, especially in certain cases, because it's empty. This is basically what separates these being part of the legend and these being your labels. So what do I mean by this? Let's start creating some charts. If I was to, and here's where the problem happens. I'm going to simulate the problem in this case. So I'm just going to change this to 18 and just put some numbers here. Okay, and let's say these were, I don't know, say ages. Okay, this is for the ages 18s up to 34, 55, 67 years old, and you know, these are the times or distances that they run. Now, clearly this is not data that we want to plot on a chart, but if I was to select this like this, go to insert, and I try to create a bar chart from here, can you see that it's giving me 1, 2, 3, 4 categories here? Okay, and if you look, these are the 4 categories, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are columns B, C, D, E. That's fine. But look at this one. It's also plotted ages. Now, ages isn't part of that data. I basically wanted that to be part of the legend. The blue one to be, for example, ages 18. This one's 34. The next one 55. And the next one 67. So I wanted it to be the series. The reason why it's doing this is because these titles are numbers. And you're going to say, well, what do we do in this case if it is numbers? The trick is you delete this top left corner, and now Excel will know this isn't a series, this one here. Okay, these are just the category labels. So if I now select all of this data now, because that top left corner is blank, and I simply go to insert, create a chart, you can see now automatically, look at that. Let me just zoom that out a bit. So look at that there. It's using the numbers in row 2, 18, 34, 55, and 67 as my legend. These are my series labels. Okay, so the blue one is for year 18, for 18-year-olds, 34-year-olds, 55, and then the yellow one 67. And this one here is the different categories. Okay, and then you've got your data. So it's recognized it simply by deleting that there. Okay, and that's really important. In the case where these are not numbers and they are text, it's not an issue because it can't plot text. So let me undo all of that and go back to the way we were before. There. Okay, so for this particular exercise, what it wants is this. We want to essentially show all the ones which are, it's a pie chart to compare participation by age group for triathlon only. So let's go back. And we're going to go now to age group by track. So I only want a pie chart based on this data here. Now I'm going to show you again 2 ways of doing this. Choose your own way. If you know another way, that's fine. Use your own way. The first way is this one. I'm going to select this row here, hold the control button on my keyboard, and I'm going to select this one as well. So essentially, I've got my series labels, I've got my data, and I've got my category. Now when I go to create from insert, I create my pie chart. Let's go to pie chart, not that one. Pie chart. Look at that. It creates it for me automatically. It's found the title, triathlon. There it is there. It's found the labels for my series, which are at the top, and it's put my data. So very easy to do. So let's undo that. The other way is this one. I can go to insert without selecting anything, insert pie chart. And again, you're going to decide which method is best for you. And this, now I've got a blank chart. The reason I've got a blank chart, no data was selected. So I'm going to right click on this chart area here, and I'm going to select data. From here, it wants chart data range. So I now want to select the data range, and that's going to be this one here because I want the data. And I'm also selecting my title as well. And can you see it's building my pie chart as I go along? So it's put the title, it's at recognize the data. What it hasn't recognized is the series names here. So I'm now going to go to here where I've got the series names in this column here, the axes labels. I'm going to click on edit, and it's going to ask me to select the range which contains the labels. And this is the range with the labels. And you can see it's added that there. I can see that's correct, and that's fine. So I'm good to go. If I was to select this, for example, for the labels, you can see it will put those for the labels there. So this is a really easy way to modify essentially your chart to make it look the way you want. Okay, click on OK. There we go, and OK. And I've got my chart. So let's go and see what else it asks for this chart. And this is kind of typical with pie charts. The next one is format the chart to display only percentages and age groups as selector labels. Okay, so let's go back. So even if you just click on this thing here, you can see here add, and you can see data labels is not selected. So I'm going to select data labels. I'm then going to click on the arrow, and I want it to be on the outside end. The reason I want outside is because if we look, it says here, position these labels outside each chart sector. So that's what we've done. Okay, now the next thing it wants to display the percentages and the age groups. So if I go to here where my data labels are, I got here more options, and I can see here the more options, and it actually shows me what is being used. So I don't want the value, I want the percentage, and there you go, it's added the percentage. But I also want, no, that's not the right one, category name. There you go, the age groups. So by playing around with these, you can actually find exactly what you want, and just make sure it looks the way it's supposed to. If I right click on these labels, change data label shapes, I can change that shape, format data labels, it will actually open this that we had open before. So whatever you right click on, it will give you properties to modify it. All right, the next thing it says, do not display a legend. Why don't I just delete that since it's there? Let's just select that and just gone, no legend. And then the next part, it says, emphasize the age group with the largest percentage by pulling only this sector away from the other age groups. So let's go back. Now, again, a common mistake is people, what they do, this is the largest piece, the gray piece here. We want to click and drag it. But once you do that, click and drag it, it also separates the other portions as well. So control undo. So what you want to do is when you click on this gray area, you can see it selects all of the slices. You want to click a second time on this gray area, and now you can see it selected only that piece. So now I can just take that piece and just drag it away, and it's only moved that piece away. Make sure the data is fully visible and there's no overlap, and I can see all of my data here is visible and there's no overlap. If this was this small, then I'm starting to get overlap. You can see that my title and that part there, and I'm thinking I've missed something with the title. Yes, I have. It wants the title to be Triathlon Registrations by Age. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to change this one here, double click, and just type that title in there. I'm just going to copy paste it. Okay, next step, I want to place the chart to the left of the bullets on the slide with market analysis. So I'm going to right click, copy, your classic copy paste, go to here, find the one which is market analysis, this one here, and click here and Control V to paste, and that's added my chart. Now I want to move my chart to the left, which means I'm going to click on my text. I'm going to make this box smaller so it's on the right, and I'm going to make that big enough so it's readable, but it's not overlapping anything else. And there you go, that's absolutely fine. Now, before I move on, I want to continue with charts and show you a few more things, some other things they may ask you to do with charts. So I'm going to delete that, I don't need that anymore. And I'm now going to create a bar chart. So from here, let's say I need to create a bar chart or a vertical horizontal bar chart based on this data. It doesn't specifically say. Again, I can select, if it wants a bar chart for only ages 18 to 34 and 35 to 54, and I don't want these columns here, I find the easiest way to do this is just delete these columns or copy paste the ones that you want elsewhere in Excel. It's entirely up to you. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to delete that one because I only want up to, and I'm only going to select this. So you want to be able to select your data. The easiest way is to select all the data you need in one go. Okay, so from here we're going to now go to Insert. We're going to go to Create a Bar Chart. Now guys, this is vertical bar chart. This is a horizontal bar chart. Why is it that people get confused with horizontal and vertical? I don't know, but vertical is this one, horizontal is this one. I'm going to go for a vertical bar chart. And again, the classic things that they will ask for is change the chart title, add or remove a legend, and you've got some other data labels that you might want to put on the top, some axes labels, X and Y, for example. I'm just going to call that part. And this one here is, I don't know, let's say sport or category, or I'll just sport, whatever it is. The next thing that they put, and quite often, is to modify the maximum and minimum, or where this the values of the y-axis are going to start from. So again, your right mouse button is going to be your friend here. So I'm going to click once to select this, then I'm going to right click on this and I can format the axes. And then from here you can start from the minimum value 0, 0. So let's say I want to start the minimum value from 10 and the maximum value is going to be 120. Okay, and there you go. That should now automatically adjust. So 120 is actually less than what we need, and that's why my bar chart is actually going a little bit on top. Let's just have a look. Let's modify that and just go to format axes and just change that to 150 instead of 120. Okay, and all of these things here should, and then you've got your major units. That's how much, you see it's automatically adjusted, how much this is going to jump. So this is jumping up major units by 20. I can make that to 10. So if I click elsewhere, you can see this is going up in tens. It's entirely up to you, okay? And that's basically it. If you want to format the major and minor grid lines, again, by right-clicking in that area, you can format the plot area, and you've got different things that you can do. You can do your fill colors. Let's try clicking on one of these lines. There you go. With these major grid lines here, if I right-click on those now, I should be able to format grid lines, and there you go. Okay, so you've got the different type, you can change the different color, the transparency, so on and so forth. There you go. Okay, and the width and everything else. So again, that's a vertical bar chart. Different things that you can add. Again, just by moving around and just clicking on things, you can add different things. So don't be scared to have a hunt around and see. You can put data labels at the top, you can remove them, and as you remove things, let's say your the grid lines, let's say no grid lines, you want grid lines, you want a trend line, there's your trend line there. Okay, so that's your bar chart. You can copy paste that into PowerPoint. The next thing that they may ask you to do is to insert a table. You can see that in this paper, they actually ask you to change the layout of the slide with the common penalties to a title and table. Okay, so we want to change the layout here of one of the slides, and then create a table that contains 4 columns of 13 rows. Copy the data from this file and place this in the table. We then ask to add some rows and merge some of those cells. So I'm just going to open this PowerPoint here again, and I'm going to create a new slide, title and content, and whatever that title is going to be, I don't care. I'm just going to get rid of that for now. In fact, because I don't know what kind of slide they would have given us. It would have been just a slide, a blank slide, so that you can put your table in. So I've just made a blank slide here. Okay, 2 ways that we can do this. First way, actually I'll show you the more complex way. We want 4 rows, 4 columns and 13 rows. So I'm going to go to Insert Table. I'm just going to draw as many as I can here. It's going to be 8. And with my table selected, I'm just going to click anywhere in one of these rows. And at the top, you can see, because I'm in the table, I can see my table design and my table layout. If I click outside of the table, those tabs vanish. So I'm going to click in my table, go to my layout, and I'm just going to insert another 5 rows. So insert below, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to give me 13. And again, I can always delete rows as well. I can simply select the row or click anywhere in the cell of a row. And at the top here, you've got delete. And when you click delete, you can delete the entire row or the column. Remember, when you select the cell, it's an intersection between a column and a row. Okay, so I've got these cells. Now, you can waste your time and type all the values in. I don't suggest you do that. But what else you can do is open the file it tells you, which is J221 table. So I've got that here. There's my table here. I'm going to zoom that in a bit. I'm going to select my columns, double click between the columns so I get everything. And I can simply select all of this, right click copy or Control C, go to my PowerPoint presentation. And now when I click once to be in the table, when I right click, I've got the option of various paste options. The first one will add everything in the correct cells. The last one doesn't. It puts everything inside the first cell. So you need to make sure you do that. So that's one way. And now I can also select my table, and from my table design, I can choose a format, for example, a blank format if I don't want anything in there, and then go to borders and add all the borders. Okay. Oh, let me just select all of that and then add all my borders. And then it's just a matter of adjusting these column widths so it looks the way they want it. That's the one way. Okay, and let's just do the second way, which is obviously going to be the easiest. So I'm going to delete that table. The easiest method is this. I like doing everything directly from Excel. So I'm just going to select this. I'm going to right click, copy, go to PowerPoint, and then from here right click, paste or Control V, and voila, it automatically puts a table for you. Now you can't see the grid lines, but again, you can select your table by clicking on the outside box or selecting everything in there, and then simply going to your table design, going to borders and making sure all the borders are visible. Now you can choose a format as well if you want, but if it doesn't ask you to add some kind of formatting, then do not, because it will actually mess up or probably lose you marks, because you're going to have to add some other things as well. Okay, so that's how we add the table. The next thing that we're going to do is look at the question paper. It says a plain table style is applied with no cell shading. So there we go. All internal and external grid lines are displayed when printed. And that's what we've done. We've just add simple borders, no shading. It then says add 2 new rows as the first 2 rows of the table. Enter the text and format rows 1 and 2 of the table so they look like this. So we want to add this at the top. We could have done this in Excel before copy pasting if you find it easy in Excel. And then once you've made the table look exactly like you want it in Excel, simply copy paste it over. I'm just going to do this from PowerPoint because it's really just as easy. So I want 2 rows to be added here. So I'm going to go to my table. I'm going to click on the first row up here. And from my layout, I'm going to say insert above. Click once, insert above, click again. So there are my 2 rows. Now, if we look at this, question paper, we want the two rows up to this point merged together. We want some space for these words here as well, and these ones here merged. So let's go back. So these two rows here I'm going to select, and I'm going to click on merge cells. Now remember, you're seeing the merge cells because we're in the table, I'm in the layout view. So from layout view, merge cells, and you should be able to see it again. There you go, your right mouse button. If you're ever in doubt, right click on what you've selected, merge cells. Now I'm going to just stretch this out a little bit over here. I'm going to be careful not to stretch it too much over to the left, because then I'm going to get some text wrapping on this line here. And I suspect it doesn't want text wrapping. I'm going to have a look now. If it doesn't say anything, then that's fine. I'm also going to make my table a bit bigger. Let's just go see what it says about text wrapping. So it says adjust the column width so that data in column 1 is displayed on one line. There we go. Okay. So we want to make sure all this is on one line. And then I'm going to adjust that column there. So I'm going to try and have 3 columns roughly of equal width. Doesn't have to be exact. And now I'm going to select these ones here. I'm going to use this merge cells button now, and I'm simply going to add the information it gives. So double clicking here, conduct, and then I want here type of penalty. So I'm just going to copy paste this over just for argument's sake here. It's just going to be easier for me. So let's just go back. There you go, and then stop and go. Now, if you are typing these out and you're not copy pasting, make sure you're copying the information exactly as it's displayed. Capital letters, small letters, exactly the same, and disqualification. Okay. Now, the next thing that we want to notice is the positioning of the text as it's displayed. How big the text is, it's bold, if it's italic, and the shading at the back. So we want to now go here. I'm going to select these cells here. I'm going to go to my table design, choose shading. I'm going to choose a gray shading like there. I'm going to go to home. I'm going to make this bold writing. I'm going to align everything to the center. I also want to align the vertical alignment as well, and that's going to be here, align text. And I want that to be in the middle. There we go. I'm just going to make that just a little bit bigger, not too big. And there we go. And that looks similar now to that. That should be fine. Okay, now one thing that isn't in the papers, I haven't seen in these two papers, is transitions and animations. So let's go over that quickly. So transitions essentially are the way that the one slide moves into the next slide. Now, if I place my mouse in this section here where I can see my slides, hold the control button on my keyboard and move the mouse wheel backwards and forwards. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Let me just move that over there, in that area there. So now if I move backwards, and you can see my thumbnails are getting larger and smaller. If my mouse pointer is on this side where the slide is, then I do the same thing, control button and move the mouse wheel. That increases and reduces the size of the slide. So why am I doing this? Well, I'm going to put transitions. So at the top, we've got transitions. But before I add a transition, the easiest way for me is to press Control A. So I'm going to select on one of the slides here on the left side. I'm going to press Control A, and that's going to select all of my slides. Now, if I apply a transition, it could be any transition. They won't ask you for a particular transition. I don't think they would. They really shouldn't, because then they're becoming a little bit more application specific and kind of pointing you towards having to use PowerPoint, whereas you can use any presentation software you want for the exam. So I'm just going to choose a wipe. And you can see now on the left hand side where my thumbnails are, each slide number has got a star underneath. And that basically means there's a slide transition applied. So if I press Control and zoom out to show all my slides, I can now use my snipping tool to take a new snip, and that will go in my evidence document to show that I've applied transitions to all my slides. The other thing, you may be asked to put animations on your text, or more importantly, usually on bulleted lists. So let's put one on text first. Easiest way, I'm going to select the object, not the text. Always select the object. and I'm not going to go into too much detail why, but you probably see when we're doing with the bullets anyway. So I select the object, I'm going to go to animations, I can choose an animation, for example, fly in, there it is there. And then in the animation ribbon, I've got options like when it's going to do that on click. I can make it after previous, so basically after the previous one has finished, then it will do that one, so it will be in line. Or I can get everything to animate with previous, so more than one item would animate at the same time. Okay, that's animate, and you can see this one has got the number 0 now. Now 0 basically means it's the first one in line for the first animation. I'm going to do the same now with my bulleted list, but I'm going to select the object. I'm not going to select my list. Again, we select the object. I'm going to choose, let's say, a split animation, and you can see it's doing each bullet and then the next bullet. So if I've got this on click, then I would have to click 8 times to make all of these appear. Now this is good when you're doing a presentation and you don't want your audience reading ahead of you. However, if they and you can and the evidence that each one is one after the other are these numbers here. So that will be your screenshot. So you do a screenshot of your slide, and that basically shows you in the evidence that this is one after the other. If they want all of them to appear at the same time, again, I'm going to select the box, the object, after I've added my animation, and now for effect options, I'm going to choose all at once. And you can see now that gives it a number 1 for all of them. And that's where you will take your screenshot now to show that they will all animate at once. This is the reason, and if I just undo and just take away the animations on that, if I selected the bullets, added the fly in, for example, when I go to effect options, sometimes, I'm not going to say always, if I select this now, it doesn't give me, can you see, I don't have the choice now to make them appear one after the other. And that's because I selected the text instead of the object. Okay, so always use the object. So let me just undo. Always select the object, not the text. So object, and then apply, and then you've got your effect options. You can choose all at once or by paragraph, entirely up to you. How do we add audio and how do we add video, and how do we make that audio and video start automatically or on click? So on this slide here, slide number 3, I'm going to add an audio file, and just as easily you can add a video file. So from here I'm going to go to insert. I've got video or audio. I've got an audio file already, so I'm going to click on this audio on my PC. I'm going to go to where I've got all my files. So if they do ask you to add a video or an audio file, here it is here, the WAV file, double click. They will provide the media file for you. And I can just move this and put it anywhere I want. Now, if I click on this is a sound effect. Let's have a look. Okay. And this is actually, stop that. So what options do we have on this? So if I click on this item here at the top, I can see my playback. So first thing is, do we want this audio to play automatically as soon as a slide appears or after someone clicks on it? So it says start, in click sequence, I can put automatic. So essentially what that does, if I run this presentation now, press F5, go to the next slide, and now it went in click sequence. So let's have a look. This is going to be slightly easier to see if I put this animation on another slide. So if I just go to insert, audio, and just put that same audio file here, and now I simply make this audio file automatically, and as soon as I start my presentation, Shift F5, starts automatically. So that's how we can do that. And if you want to show that you've done that, you can simply take a screenshot of this part here showing the start automatically, and it's got the little play button there. Other things that you can do is play across slides, and you could also loop it until it's stopped. In other words, it will just keep playing on the same slide here until you stop it, and if you say play across slides, then it will carry on playing and looping until you get it to stop. The next one, which is quite oftenly asked for is hide during show. So if I press F5 now, we can actually see the controller here. If we don't want that controller to be here, this indication there's an audio file here, we want that to be visible, we can simply click here, hide during show. So if I run that again, unfortunately we're going to hear this audio again. You can now see that object is invisible, so you can't control it, you can't stop it, it's going to play as is. Okay, I think I've covered everything now. Now the last thing left is printing. So I'm going to go to File, Print, and we're going to have a look at the different print options. Okay, so what we see straight away is it's got here print all slides. Now, most importantly, select the correct printer that you're going to be printing to. Then we're going to see what we're going to be printing. Are we going to be printing all the slides, and then how we're going to be displaying these? So the first thing is, usually your print will start off looking like this, full slides, and print all slides. Now, print all slides basically means if you look down here, I'm going to be printing 7 slides. These are all my 7 slides, and I'm printing the full page. It may ask that it wants you to print all the pages on 2 slides per page. So from here, print all slides, and then here we're going to choose 2 slides per page. And if I go back, you can see all my slides are 2 slides per page on A4 and taking up half the page each one. The other format that they would the exam would normally ask you for is print the slides so that for audiences to have a space for the audience to make audience notes or presentation notes. That one is going to be 3 slides per page. This is the only setup or template for your PowerPoint printout, which gives you audience notes, an area for the audience to make notes on each slide. So if they do ask for audience notes, then it has to be 3 slides to a page. The next one, which is quite common, is going to be 6 slides. So if your presentation is only 6 slides or under and they want a quick overview, that will be this one. Now, the other format that they want will be sometimes when you've added a chart or a table like we did in this exercise here, they might want these as full pages. So they may say print the market analysis to be full page and also print 6 slides to a page like I've got here. So you print this one off, and then the easiest way to print just the one slide, unless you know the slide number, you can go to here slides and press 2 because I know it's slide number 2. There it is there. And there you go. If I click away, it's only going to print this, and I'm going to change this to full size. And I can see at the bottom it's printing 1 of 1. Now, if you're in doubt and you can't just print the one slide in full size, just print the whole thing and only attach or submit the one page that they're asking for. The other way to do this is this. You can go back, select the slide that you want to print. Let's say this time the table. So this is the one that's active. Go to File, Print, and instead of choosing all slides, you choose Print Current Slide, and that's the slide that you were on, and that's it. You see, page 1 of 1, and now you can say how big you want it. Maybe 2 slides to a page for half the size, or a full page. The next format that they ask for sometimes is to show your notes page. Remember, on this slide here, if I go back, on the first slide, I added my presenter notes. These are my notes. Let's just add some more rubbish text here. Okay, so these are my notes. I'm going to select this page. I'm going to go to File, Print, and instead of full page, I'm going to choose my notes page. And that's going to display the slide with the notes underneath. A very useful printout layout. And if I only want to print this one page, then again, I'm going to make sure Print Current Slide, or I'm going to print all slides and then select the slide that has my printouts. So if you're not sure which one it is, I can say this is 1 of 7. I could scroll through and see, oh, let's see which one has got the notes on. There it is, it's slide 1 of 7. So I can choose the number 1 here. And there you go. It's only going, when I click over it, it's only going to print this slide here. Okay, that's everything. I don't think there's anything else. If there is, and there's always going to be something new. They're always going to come up with a new thing. Just use the right mouse click if you're stuck on something, you want to change some properties or an object, and just have a look around in the ribbons. You'd probably find what you're looking for. If you've learned something new, you've found this useful, if you're taking the IGCSE exam and this has helped you revise, by all means click like, make sure you subscribe so you can be updated with any new videos, and I'll see you again in the next video. And if you are taking the exam, good luck. Take care. Bye bye.